All right, we should be good now. Where am I going here? Back there. All right, Richard, what's the next step? Looks like you know it. Yes, sir. Oh, no, that was just last week.
That was just last week.
And do I still have that, or did you take it? Okay. Okay, perfect. Good call, though, Richard. Thanks. Okay, so what do you think now we have to do with these three numbers, the 6, 6, and 1.5, Richard? Add them up. When you add those up, that's a terrible addition sign. When you add those up, what should you get? Everyone here should be able to add those three numbers up.
Right, yeah, 6 plus 6 plus 1.5 is how much?
That should be able to do in your head. Okay, Mr. Jacob Polar. What? 13.5. So that 13.5 was the what? What was it? Tax. But remember, my question was, what was the total bill? So what would I have to do now? Because if you told me the total bill was $13.50, not even close. Okay? Landon, if I want to know the total now, what would I have to do?
Don't say I don't know. How much did dinner cost?
Well,
Coupon.
get a coupon. Okay.
And taxes. So what do you gotta do, so I know how much I paid per share? I have my bill plus my tax.
This is something you'll do every day you go out to eat in real life.
What math do we have to do, Landon?
Very good.
Yep, how much is left? Write it down in your paper, honey. You don't have to do it in your head. We would prefer you to write it down.
And everyone should be solving this, not just making for Landon to solve it.
Elliot, Mason, everyone, write it down, figure it out. You all should have your hands up. All of you know how to add.
Some of you might be able to do this one in your head.
Yeah, you could do it in your head. Yes. What'd you get, Landon?
238.50.
Good job. 48 or 38? Oh, yeah.
38. Very good. So their bill came to $238.50. Any questions? The reason why I went over this is because actually some of the problems today you're going to have to find the tax. So if you were paying attention and wrote this down, you probably shouldn't have much of an issue. If you weren't, you're probably going to be lost. Okay? So here's one of the things. Figure I'd show you guys a quick, it's real short. It's about 3 minutes. And the reason I'm going to show you this is because I don't know if you saw it. Are you Mr. Stacy's room or no?
I am, but I wasn't never having another 2 days.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you saw this video. He showed this to his class, and we watched it. Was that Tuesday last week or Friday?
You know what? I watched it. Yes,
Okay.
I only saw half of it.
And it was real good. How many of you, be honest, get to a point and say, you know what? When am I ever going to use this in life?
Yes.
Why are we doing this in math class? This is pointless. Okay, good. Okay,
Here's your reason.
here's your reason. Okay, so this video will explain why it's important to do things, even if you think you're never going to use it in life. Okay, so I'm hoping this works well. I know usually when I'm doing the live stream, my audio is very quiet, so I'm hoping it will be loud. Okay, sounds like it. So it's only about
Website.
3
Why not
minutes.
do it yourself? With Wix, you can create your own professional website.
And Ashley, if you want to
Choose from hundreds of
lights quick.
templates.
Okay, here's the actual thing. This is a famous scientist, if you did not know.
We'll be the drivers of tomorrow's economy. Jobs. That's the word. 4 letters. Jobs. And if you are not a participant on that frontier, you will trail behind it and possibly get left behind entirely.
Most
Listen to the
American
words
kids
he's
opt
saying.
out of the harder math and science classes, as you know.
So I think most people opt out of hard things.
Many of those jobs that pay $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. You need a lot of calculus.
You do.
You need math.
You
You
do.
need science. You
And
need physics.
Math needs better marketing. I don't know how to do it. Hire a marketing firm or something. There are people who say, I'll never need this math, these trig identities from 10th grade or 11th grade. Or maybe you never learned them. Here's the catch. Whether or not you ever again use the math that you learned in school, the act of having learned the math established a wiring in your brain that didn't exist before. And it's the wiring in your brain that makes you the problem solver.
Why did you become a scientist?
Since age 9, the universe chose me. Their first visit to the local planetarium, the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. Ever since then, had you asked me what I want to be when I grow up, that annoying question that adults always ask, I always said, an astrophysicist.
So there's a value to students studying math and science at high levels, even if they don't want to be running the Hayden Lab.
Even if you don't want to become a scientist, minimum you should ask of yourself, demand of yourself, is that you become scientifically literate. Better yet, scientifically literate and mathematically literate.
Why?
Because therein are the engines of problem solving in the world.
How does that connect to jobs and the bottom line, which is money?
Now you're valuable to an employer because companies want to innovate. And the companies that don't innovate, they wither on the vine. So the connection between STEM fields and financial stability of a nation is what needs to be established. That connection somehow is broken. People don't see it.
Why don't Americans see it, the connection?
Dare I say that maybe we're not trained to think that way? We're trained to think if you do A, then there must be B, cause and effect.
Do you think Americans understand that chain of
No.
events? Are they starting to?
No, you should be educated. And in the education, you should value science, engineering, technology, and math. If you do so, you get to innovate and invent new industries, new economies. If you invent new economies, everybody has jobs tomorrow. That's a chain of events. It's not A equals B. You've got to go through 3 other variables to get to D.
Okay, that was it real quick. I told you it was real short. I got no. I'll probably show you more of these little ones because when we were looking the other day, there's a lot of good ones out there. But a couple things he said, right? People hate doing hard things, right? They quit. I see that in classroom and I see that in sports too. When it gets hard, people quit. That's not going to help you in life at all. Right, Ms. Lumps?
No, it's not.
You got to persevere. That's one of the biggest things is if you quit,
If things are easy, you're not learning. So what's the point of even doing the activity? That's why I hear people say, I just want to be easy or math. Why? Because that means you're not learning at all.
I think this week I'll find the other video we watched because the other video talked about how if you get something wrong, your brain rewires itself. But if you get it right, your brain just stays the same and doesn't grow, which is kind of interesting. So when you get things wrong is when your brain goes. Biggest thing he said was what? Was that it's not the learning the math, it's the process. Anyone know why that's important? It's not the math itself sometimes, it's the process of learning it.
What does that mean?
So that's kind of like a
Two of you only have a thought.
interesting idea.
Is your brains working?
Turn
They
it on.
are. Is your breathing? So I should see more hands. Some of you that rely on your neighbors, I can call you out. Raise your hands. Have a
So
thought.
say it one more time. Why sometimes is it not the math that's important, it's the process of learning it. And you can apply that to anything. It's not necessarily doing it, it's the process of learning to do something. It doesn't have to be just math.
Think about things you're passionate about. Think about things you do at home that would require you to maybe try it 10 different times.
Olivia, what do you think? Remember, it doesn't have to just be
Don't say, I
math.
don't know. Not allowed.
Why is it not the thing you're learning, but the process of learning it?
Process,
That's
the actual
important.
steps. Why is that important? Olivia, give it thought. Any thought. At this point, what you have in front of us would probably be a thought. Honestly.
Anything? Elliot?
Maybe just knowing that there's a math class and it's learning different ways of doing stuff and
Problem solving through it.
It's not
No.
related.
Yeah, relate it to your life now.
What do you do if you know you have to try multiple times sometimes? What happens? Do you fix an engine right away the first time? So what do you have to do? Do you give up?
I was watching you guys with those scooters and iPad.
Oh,
Taking this wire and plugging this thing and doing this. It's no different than in math. Math is just on paper and numbers, but it's no different than anything else. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, some of you guys with sports, when you first started sports, you didn't make a touchdown or a goal or a home run. You did it. You did it. You practiced the right. You weren't born like that. You had to work at it. Riding a bike. Think about some of you when you had to take the training wheels off. You didn't do it overnight. It was a practice. You kept falling. Your parents would hold it tight. Same thing with math. You're gonna get it wrong probably 100 times.
Emily and then Elijah and Grandma.
If you get it wrong, again, it's something you remember and you remember, oh, it's not this, it's this. Your brain comprehends it, when it's right. So even if you don't practice it later on, if later on you think you remember, oh, hey, I remember this, you can do it easier. It's not just something you're like, oh, I'm not.
Learning from your mistakes, right? And sometimes those are more important than getting it right. Learning from mistakes. Elijah, what were you gonna say?
You're not just like born with what you have today. You have to learn whatever grade.
Old people, that's why I just read a thing. Some 99-year-old man, it was on his bucket list, something he wanted to accomplish, he made a hole in one and golf. 99 years old. I mean, that's like holy mackerel. He kept trying and finally he made it out from Guy But
And that's the thing. Some people get a hole in one when they're 20. Some people wait halfway until they're 99. Okay? Hopefully you guys don't have to wait till 99. That's the thing I hate most. Because when kids say I can't do math, anyone can do math. Okay? Anyone can. It just depends on how much work you're willing to put into it. Yes, it might not come easy for some of you. That just means you gotta work a little bit harder.
or you might have to have tools. Some of you, and it's not because you're dumb, you may not think as fast as others, so you might have a calculator, you might have a multiplication chart, or you might have the or you might have the formula out. You know, not everyone remembers all the formulas, so you might have to write it down and refer to it. Doesn't mean you're dumb. You asked me to do something in football, I'd have to write it down. Now I'm going to.
I got you back.
can't mean you don't want to.
That's right.
Oh.
Can't means you don't want to. That's a good one.
That's how I
Where'd you hear that?
I know, where did you hear
Or can I say Elliot Soda from that?
Did he?
Can't should really be a word.
Tell your stepdad we're using that.
Say like, oh, I don't want to do that so much.
What'd you say, Elliot? Can't mean.
Can't mean you don't want to.
Right. So we should never hear ever again, I can't. Emily, what were you gonna say? Your hands up.
I like that.
Kids who say I can't, or if they really don't want to do work, so they say they can't, so then they don't put the time and effort to do it.
Right. No, not for the effort into where it is. Good.
I like that. Right on my board.
The last thing he said that was kind of interesting is so many people, at least in the United States, think of A and they want an answer of B. Like they so want a certain answer. And I just see that in math too, that some of you just want to get the answer and move on. It's not necessarily all about the answer, like you guys were all talking. It's about the process of getting to that answer. So many of you want to get an answer and just move on to the next thing. It's not about getting the answer. Like Emily was talking, Ellie, Elijah, that table's been doing fantastic lately. It's amazing. It's the process of getting there. I don't care. Sometimes, honestly, we don't care what the answer is. We care how you got there. If you can tell us how you did it, that's more important than if you got it right or wrong. Some of you would copy the person next to you just to get the answers done. That doesn't help you. It doesn't mean anything to us. We don't care about answers. I care about how you got there and if you can do it. And explain to me how you can do it. Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, it matters how well you something like that. Don't go through
That's
that.
the lawnmower version. That's not how well he moves, how well he go fast. Something like that.
But it
Elijah, I
is,
hear you.
you get, if you do it fast and get it done, it's probably good.
Right. That and you're probably not learning as much as if you actually take your time. That's why I tell kids in the weight room, it doesn't do anything to lift really fast. Okay? Your muscles aren't gaining, you're not gonna be gaining mass in your muscles. The slower you go, actually, the better it is. The more your muscles are straining. Okay? Math is no different than that. What?
It goes on high fitness
Yeah.
and just get a bench anyway, they'll put everything on it. There's a bit.
I'm not doing it again.
Yes.
Tell
That's why-
him, Mr. Sigmund said that's not doing anything.
It doesn't matter how fast you go as long as you do it.
Doesn't matter how fast you go as long as you do it. Some of you may take longer than others. That's fine. Okay, getting into the actual math today, the process of learning. Okay, we have two definitions for you. All right,
Please open your notebook.
here they are. One is an expression. You've probably heard of that before. Okay, mathematical phrase containing numbers, variables, and an operation symbol.
This one, your document, right flat on your desk. Okay? And do not just pick a random sheet in your notebook. It drives me nuts.
And the other one is coefficient. Okay, and that's the numerical, also known as number, factor in any term of an expression. And on that example, we'll break down each part so you know what each part is. But in that example, that whole equation is an expression. Okay,
Most copy, and we'll give you examples.
Yep.
Even some of you that think you know it, write it down. And if you know that research shows when you write stuff, you actually remember it more. That's why we encourage you to write it down, write it down, write it down.
that's why you'll have people in college. I guarantee some of you will have friends in college that take their notes and rewrite it 2 or 3 times.
I do.
Yep, they'll take
Well,
their
I
whole
didn't.
notebook and rewrite it.
I only did it once.
Right. Because it helps them learn.
Or writing it on note cards. Give me down. What, baby? What, baby, what?
They're not be treating it through the test, you're going down no cars for you.
You don't bring it to the test.
It's like flashcards to study with.
You guys like flashes. When you guys get to Mrs. Colbert next year, and then 8th grade Miss Work, or Mrs. Our Mr. Field, you will want to have flashcards. She's big on flashcards, and Mr. Field's big on study guide, and take that and rewrite your notes to help you memorize and learn the material. I'll take you to test here in 6th grade.
Now again, going back to the process of learning, it's not copying these words down, it's understanding what these words mean. So just because you're copying it down doesn't mean you're learning anything. Make sure you're reading it and trying to understand what the words mean. If you have questions, probably this would be a great time to ask those questions if you don't know what one of the words means or something like that. Okay, I see a lot of people writing. I'll wait just a second or two yet. And FYI, today, you're going to be writing a lot of expressions. You're going to be given word problems. You have to write an expression based on that problem. Yes, Miss Emily.
What is the example?
We're gonna
C equals 21N. And we're going to talk through what each of those numbers / letters mean.
I wish they said something a little more. You just say letters.
Oh, yeah. Okay. First of all, I hope we all know what numbers are. Probably not going to touch on that unless I see any questions on it. Otherwise, I'm going to skip over that one. Values from negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay. Variables. In this example, what's a variable? There's actually maybe more than one variable in the example. Or I think we put variable in our notes.
The process of elimination. If it's not a number,
No, we only put independent.
Oh, maybe we missed some. Let's go to Abby Perry. In that example, what's a variable?
the example C equals 21N, right? What would be the variable? Only got 3 choices. No,
Okay, that's a number. C would be a variable,
Yeah, there you go.
and N.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, those two, if you want to jot this down, which I would recommend, that those two are your variables in this example.
Copy that equation and
That's
write legibly.
And variables, usually letters. Okay, it does not have to be C and N. It could be X. A lot of times you'll see X and Y. Okay, like when we're graphing, X and Y. A variable can be any letter you want it to be.
Is those like independent or not?
Ah, very good. Okay, Josie asked a great question. Could these be like our independent and dependent? What do you think? Yes, because remember it's called independent variables, dependent variable. Okay, in this example, does anyone know which one is which? Which one's independent, which is dependent? Remember, dependent changes based on the independent. Any idea which one is which? Yeah, 50% chance because there's only two of them. Okay, Mr. Levi Day? Very good.
Why? You have an idea of why you guessed that?
Depending on what it is,
Very
then
good.
C will be
All right, very good. Did you guys hear that? Some of you that were. Remember, for dependent, something has to be independent because it depends on that. Just like you depend on your parents for support. Because you didn't have your parents, you wouldn't have a house, you wouldn't have this.
And as an FYI, if you're given an equation, it will normally equal I think it will always equal the dependent. I'm trying to think of an example where it wouldn't, but I can't think of one right now. Okay. So Josie, that was a great point because no one would probably brought that up. All right. What operation is happening in this equation? There is an operation in there. What is that operation? What is that operation happening in this equation, Mr. Ashton?
Don't say I don't. Absolutely not. You're gonna answer. Because guess what? You only got a handful of operations, addition, multiplication.
Sure, yeah, there's 4.
I mean, honestly, do you see an addition sign in there? Do you see a subtraction sign in there?
Okay, you're done with
So
two.
now you have 2 left. You see a multiplication or a division operation. Well, there's one of those. Think about it.
Remember we said one of those operations you can write without
Without
even
having-
really writing.
Without having the multiplication or division sign. You have 50-50 chance, buddy.
Yep, you gotta take a stab at it. Multiplication, what were you gonna say, sir? Logan? Very good. So the multiplication is happening between the 21 and the n. There's multiplication happening there. You're gonna have to write your equations like this today. Okay, I'll tell you right now, moving up, your teachers, we're not gonna really wanna see a multiplication sign between these. We want you to start writing it like this. That's how you'll see it in books.
If there's a number, you probably need to write this down. If there's a number and a letter next to each
Yep.
other,
So if you
that
have,
means multiplication. You do not put the time sign, you don't put the little dot sign. You might even see it with parentheses too.
Yep.
Sometimes.
I'll tell you right now, tonight on your homework, you'll have one that looks like this. Where D is the distance
Actually, write it down.
and T is the time. Okay? So, Richard, what's happening between the 8 and the T right here? Times, very good. Multiplication. You're gonna have to know that when you do your homework, otherwise you'll have no idea what to do. Okay? You need to know that's multiplication there, Miss Josie.
How do you know what to multiply 24 by?
Well, I'd have to tell you what n is.
Yeah.
I could say n is 3, n is 4, something. Or you'd be given a table like this, and it has x, and it'd say, or sorry, not x, it'd be n and c. And I'd say if x is 1, what's c? If n is 2, what is c? And so on and so on. You just, plug them in and so on. Here's what you gotta do. Probably not gonna get done today, which is fine. We will finish it up tomorrow, and it kicked me out. Lovely, lovely, lovely day. I know.
Let's switch it. Emily has a question.
Yes, Miss Emily.
If there's a letter in the equation, it has to be a letter.
So you're What's 40 equals 2x? So then what would x be? If 40 equals 2x. Yeah, you're right, 20x would be.
X's or any letter will always be a number.
Yes.
You just don't know what number it is.
Is that exactly your question?
So a letter will always relate to some number, sometimes more than one. Like if they give you the table, they could say it's
And not always
5,
positive
10.
numbers.
No,
Negative, decimals.
definitely could be decimals.
Haley, you three. Believe I just dropped the no one?
Okay, here's what you gotta do. Right here, look at tax. That's why we did the problem of the day. It's 6% just like it was for problem of the day. Have fun if you didn't pay attention earlier. Okay? Good. Here's what you gotta do. They're gonna have you solve the problem for each of these. The first one's always solving it. Second one is writing the equation. Okay? So not all of them will be multiplication. Alright, I'll tell you that right now. Like the ones we just looked at, they were all multiplication. There'll probably be some addition, maybe some subtraction today, and so on. Alright? You want to do the first one together? Are you guys good? Okay, how about this? You have 5 minutes to get A1 and A2 done. Then we're going to check it together. 5 minutes, go.
On your own, go quick.
What pages is that?
Someone who has to look up what pages I have.
67.
67.
Page 67.
Quick, 5 minutes.
Wait, what happened here?
You have to have it done in 5 minutes. All time you have to do. It's only 2 questions.
They wanted to?
A1 and A2. If you do get farther than that, then you're fine. But A1 and A2 is what you must get done. A1 and A2. And A1 will have 3 answers you should. So it says 400, 500, 650 question mark. Yep. Don't overthink A1. It's literally as easy as some of you are thinking. Got 3 answers.
And get something down. Please title it at the top, page 67, 3.1, so you know where your work starts. Page 67, 3.1.
If you do get done with the first 2, you can start the second ones. I'm just letting you know we're going to talk about the first one in about 3 more minutes. Make sure everyone agrees. Yep. If they tell you letters, like A2 says D and P, you must use D and P in your equation. They tell you them for a reason. You just have to know what D and P are. They do tell you that.
So write something down, even if you may not be correct, at least you're thinking about something. You need an equation. now,
Right,
so
but how much are they, what's their discount?
Oh, got it, I see what you're saying. Yes, we are. I gotta look at it.
So you gotta do a calculation for A1 because you gotta find the discount. A2 tells us quite, right?
No.
You gotta go up 2 more minutes. And if you do get done, remember I said you can just keep moving on if you'd like. I'll tell you right now, I'll tell this is the whole class too, but when you're in an equation like this, it should equal something all the time, and most of the time it will equal a letter or a variable. You can't add another letter. Are you telling me, so what were all these?
So your discounted price. Well, what you bring in.
Okay.
So write your-
And then you subtract D.
So P, right?
What's D? D is a discount, D is what?
How much is the very first one?
Yeah, that's like when you pay. You didn't notice what you subtract for all of them. I like how you wrote that out. That's good. Very good. Yes, sir. No, B you do not use the cube button. It'll be much easier to just do this as 400, 500, 650. Yes, Josie? Yeah, they said you can do other things, but.
Does this work?
B's the price, the regular price. That looks better.
B2, how do you do, because I
B2. Okay.
I did 6
Okay. Alright. Remember another way to find 6% is to take the number and times it by something.
Is that right?
How do you write 6% as a decimal?
Oh,
Let's have to
number
correct the equation.
divided by 0.6.
0.6. Come on, sir, let's go. I don't know if all these are right. I think the 600 is, but I don't know about the other two. Stuck in the equation. For A, what does A say anything about percent off? No? Okay, that's been 5 minutes now. Alright, so
Have everyone eyes up on the board, because I'm not sure.
what I'm going to do real quick is just go back to here, just so we got more room to write. Okay? Now, I really, if you're stuck on this, so many people just wrote the answers for these.
That's what I was
Okay.
just gonna say.
So, a lot of you were able to do this in your head, right? It was $400, they're saving 50, how much are they really going to pay? Okay? So, these should have been super quick, right?
You got all that.
Now, again, this is a prime example. Getting the answer does not necessarily help you all the time. Because some of you, once you had this, were kind of stuck on 2. Okay? So if you were to actually write the equation out for number 1, it would have helped you in number 2 a lot. Okay? Emily, what was one of your equations for 350? What was your equation to find 350? What'd you do?
Equals.
Okay? And I'll just do one more. All 3 should look the same, but the other one should be 500 minus 50 equals, oops,
Write this down.
it's not going to equal.
Have this. This is the process.
I'll just write the other one down too.
Understand the equation for discounted price and true price. So Mr. Fitchen's not writing it because he has nothing better to do with his time.
Now, if you look at those, I look at those and I'm like, I noticed something in all of them. And we would call that in math like a constant. It's the same. What do you notice? Everyone here should notice something right away. We talked about last week, when you look at a graph, you should notice something. You're not going to notice the same thing this time, but you should notice something. Kalina, you've been quiet today. What do you notice? Huh? What they do at the 50s? Did they add them? Be specific. Ooh, they took 50 off, right? Why did they take 50 off every time, Kalina?
No, what is it? The 50 is equal to what? Look on the board. 50 is equal to what? Discount.
Discount. Very good. Now, if you had those equations, okay, I'm going to take you through this. This is literally how easy it is to write the equation. Some of you can write it like this, which is great. Okay, being able to just look at how you did it and write the equation. Some of us struggle with this. Okay, this is a very different way of thinking. So, notice they give you 2 variables, D and P, and you must use those. You can't, if they tell you, you can't just label it like X and Y or Z and D or whatever you want. You must use what they have. Okay? D is the what? Okay, discount price, right? And don't say discount, because some people were thinking it was the discount, so they use that instead of 50. Okay, make sure you know it's the discount price and not the discount. They're different. Okay. Now what I would do, and I hope some of you maybe thought of this too, is I'd look at these equations and go, which one of these numbers is the discounted price? Are these numbers the discounted price? Is this the discounted price, or is that the discounted price? Which one is it? Who haven't I heard from yet? Olivia. Okay, you can't say that one.
Which numbers, sweetheart?
Very good. So here, I would put D, because aren't these all the discounted price? Okay, obviously I'll still need my equal sign again. The other variable is P. P is the what, Evan? 400, 500, 650. It's the original price, right? So I would put P here for all these. Okay, and again, we probably need to keep one operation. Subtraction, okay? And I don't know what sure was going to say. And some people said, well, now what letter do I use? Okay, you only get 2 letters. Can't use 3. Okay? So what else do you think you're going to have to do? Because you can't use a 3rd letter. You can't make one up. You can only use what they give you.
Ashley, what are you gonna put the? Where are you gonna put the P minus what?
Which is, here is your equation. Okay?
Now, what if you didn't, are you gonna show the other one?
I was going to say you could also write it, what? P minus 50.
Oh, okay, well, we took.
Is yours different yet?
Well, yeah, but I don't think we did it the way the property is.
Could you do this? Could you rewrite it so D equals 50 minus P? What do you think?
No,
Raise your hand. Taylor, what do you think? Could you write it where it's 50 minus P? Why not? Because why?
it's gonna be lower.
What do you mean lower?
I don't know. Lower.
What do you mean by lower? Give me an example then. What do you mean by lower? Kylie, what do you think she means by lower?
Like negative,
Oh, very
and
good.
then you make it equal.
So if this is 50 minus 400, the answer would be negative 350 instead of 350. Okay, so this one doesn't work. Either of these would be just fine. Okay, so I'll tell you right now, if you're struggling with writing the equation, write the equations out for the first one. It will help you. Okay? Because then you literally just have to look at what number is the discounted price, what number is the regular price, and then what's the constant, what's staying the same. Okay? So now you have about 8 minutes right now. Those of you who are feeling pretty good on this, you could probably get almost all this done before you leave. Okay? You should be able to at least get B and most of C done. Okay? No different than what we were just doing. Alright? So now it's your turn. Go ahead. B and C. I'll tell you right now, it may not be as simple as subtraction operation. You're stuck on C3? Oh, what's the T mean? To display what information is the coefficient. Oh, coefficient of T. Sorry. The coefficient you hit in front of the T was the what? What is your equation? Remember, you can't. That's like 4 things of unknown. Remember, there should be one constant always. One thing that's always the same in all your equations. There should be one thing you know. Yeah.
Go back, you do know something.
No. That's why it's not making sense. What is the sales tax? Put off the 400.
What is the price?
What price is the 405? Okay. That's probably one A1, sorry, C1. So what do they give you? C1. They give you a bunch of what? What are those numbers in C1? So is that time? So you're not trying to find time, they tell you time. So what's your equation for finding that equal? Distance. And so T is your what then? Time. And they should tell you something else in your C2 that's very important. There should be a constant, something that doesn't change. Like maybe there's, there you go. So distance equals, what do you think? That's their speed. We're going to have to do it that in hours. I'm not going to help you. Remember, you gotta learn and try. Fail. Okay, what's your grade? You don't tell me. You should already have. But that's fine. Now, multiplication. Now, what is the coefficient in front of T? What's the coefficient in front of your T? Now, what's your coefficient in your problem, your equation? What's your coefficient in your equation? Right, in your definition, what's coefficient? Numerical, that's the key, number. So the question is, it doesn't want to know what is the equation, it wants to know what that equation is. What's that G? That's their what is the problem. Miles per hour, right? For every stop car, that's going to be what? Okay, so what is that dealing with? What is that dealing with? What is that dealing with? Length of think when you're riding in the car. What do you see that's like length limit? Speed. Is that 20 miles per hour speed, isn't it? So it's speed. Okay. The equation looks almost beautiful, but it's not equal to T. Because if you look at C1, they teach you all the time. B. What it should be. Tax equals 0.06. I don't tax you. That's tax. That's T equals No, that's fine. Just one equation. You just wrote it in there. Okay, how's it going? Yeah. What's your equation? Huh? T. Okay, you're very close. If you times it by 6, take 400 times it by 6, but you get a really large number. So you can't times it by 6. You create 6% as a That'd be 60%. 0.6. So T equals 0.06.
How would you find the
There you go. Your equation. What's the coefficient? One that you wrote. So if you want 20 miles an hour, okay, so that
What's the one reason why?
So is that your final distance, so distance equals what? Look at this. That's how you you have to do something with the 20 and another variable is what? T. So it's gonna be something with the 20 and something with the T. That is somehow very good. Just get you time was 2 hours, multiplied by 20, bada bing, bada boom, next chapter.
Bada bang.
I know I haven't done any yet.
You said like last week it was Wednesday and you still do it.
Hey, Rachel.